Cloak and Jacob's Quest, and last night I got to see Ridley Scott's Napoleon, which is the next historical epic drama. Maybe some embellishment in there, dramatization of Napoleon Bonaparte's life. And truth be told, I am not a history buff kind of guy. I don't know that much about Napoleon at all. I only know like what you would absorb through osmosis of like pop culture and references to Napoleon of like what happened. I don't know the specifics of Waterloo and his exile, and I know that he took over France for a while, and then the other thing, and I think that this would definitely help going into the movie, because this movie does not hold your hand as to like the situation of the world. Like I walked into this saying like, okay, I know America was like just made, but they don't factor into this at all. But just to try and frame my brain into like what time period I'm even in right now. And then the French Revolution had just happened, and we see the very end of that happening. Marie Antoinette and the guillotine. Yeah, they show that. But like as far as like France's relationship with Britain, and then there's Austria and Russia, or sometimes they call it Prussia, and I'm like, which is it, Russia or is it Prussia? What's happening right now? So like I said, knowing a little bit of history, going over some Wikipedia articles might be kind of useful before walking into this if you don't know like the context of the world at this point, because the movie doesn't really tell you. We're shown events, and I guess through context we can kind of be like, okay, well, I guess they're fighting Britain right now, and they're trying to make an alliance with Austria, but then sometimes Russia, but then sometimes those guys team up with Britain instead, and now Napoleon's all angry. This movie's much more about Napoleon himself. Like, you get to know the person a lot more, which I think was the right way to go around. Because honestly, if they wanted to like educate you about, what the world situation was at the time, they would just make a documentary. They wouldn't make like a historical epic, right? So Napoleon himself, kind of a nutty guy, right? And I don't know how historically accurate or true this is. I'm sure there was plenty of leeway taken as far as like how they're gonna depict this guy, but like, yeah, I mean the whole Napoleon complex thing was definitely true. Like he was so sure that he was gonna be like Alexander the Great and like this amazing person, sometimes to the point of where other people were kind of treating it like a joke. Like, okay, he's talking about things as if like this is how I want it written down in a history textbook, by the way, guys. Not that say that it happened like this, or sometimes he'd take claim for stuff that like, oh, who burned down this city, and they're like, the Russians did. He's like, nope, I did it. But like clearly he didn't do it. They show it not happening in the movie. So he's definitely he's got like an ego about him to the point where like he's a little maniacal. And also his situation with his wife, to where like, he took the throne of France, but she, for whatever reason, there's no heir coming, and so all of his advisors are like, hey, dude, you gotta, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta have an heir, so you gotta divorce her. But then he's still in love with her, obsessed with her. Like, it's more of an obsession, if anything, because he is constantly writing to her, constantly visiting her, even after they divorce, and he like has a child finally. Which, by the way, that whole plot line, like, plot line, but that whole thing about like him having a kid, I don't know what happens to the kid. Because like somewhere out there, I guess Napoleon has a son. Is whatever happened to that bloodline? Is it still around? Is there like a Bonaparte family out there somewhere? I don't know. So I left this movie with like, I need to Google some things because I don't know my history that well, especially when it's not like American history. So when it's over here, around this time in the 1790s or early 18 whatever, I'm like, okay, what was even going on? But in any case, it was really well shot. The action scenes that you do get are pretty amazing. I will say, like I said, this movie is much more concentrated on Napoleon the character, so it's not even necessarily about showing his battles and showing his tactics. You do get some of that, but it's much more of a character analysis type film. But having said that, there is plenty of blood, there's plenty of action, there's plenty of all that stuff. Sometimes there's, I'm gonna tell you right now, because a lot of people care more about this, they do show some animals getting hurt. A horse gets hurt pretty early on in the movie. It's not nice to see, but like a lot of people will kind of wince at that more than like humans getting hurt. It's like, oh no, not the horse. So I'm just warning you now that that does happen. Yeah, just learning about I guess the person, or at least the dramatized personality of this guy was pretty interesting. Like he had an ego about him. He's very French, which is kind of funny because I think this movie's been criticized for not speaking French and not using French accents or anything like that. But some of the, I guess I'll just say, horniness of the French, it's full on display here. Like this movie does not shy away from him and his wife. They're sitting at a table. There's people standing around, his guards and stuff. They don't even care. Stuff just starts happening. I'm like, there's people in this room, guy. At least tell them to leave. Something. Oh, come on, man. Anyways. But yeah, overall, the movie, it is a bit long. I think this one was 2 hours 40 minutes, close to 3 hours, I think. In any case, it was a bit long. I started to feel its length near the end. So I do kind of feel like maybe you could have shaved down a couple of those scenes where he's obsessing about his wife again. But yeah, so I think some people are gonna walk away wishing that we got to see more of his battles, more action scenes. Some people are gonna walk away just, I don't know, curious about how historically accurate any of this is, or even like me, kind of confused about the historical context of so what war was this? How many, because they're jumping years and years. We're following his early military career. Well, I say early, but he became a general all the way to basically where he got defeated for the last time and he's in exile again. So they're jumping, I don't even know, what, a decade, 2 decades. So if I wasn't confused about the historical context of what was happening and what battle I'm even watching or why it's happening, I'm even more confused now, because the next scene will be all right, it's been 4 years later now. I'm like, okay, all right. So in any case, it was a really enjoyable movie. You got to see, I feel like I know at least this version of Napoleon a lot more. And I would say if you walk away from this movie feeling like I need to Google some actual history, that's a win, right? If nothing else, this movie makes you want to learn about okay, so what was even happening? What battle was that? Why were they? What countries were even that? Because yeah, that's my big thing. Is I'm interested in this history, this period of time now. At least I want to, maybe Netflix has a good documentary about exactly what was going on, and then I can go back and watch this movie again and be like, oh, I see what they're doing here. But yeah, overall, enjoyable movie, great action sequences. He's kind of a nut, right? He's just a wacky guy. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Napoleon. And if you're a history buff out there, how historically accurate was any of this? You know what I mean? Because you got to walk into these historical dramas and these historical epics with a pinch of salt, being a little asterisk, being a little I don't know. I'm sure the big events happened, but how they happened, who said what, How, you know, are they overplaying his zaniness? Was he really that crazy? I don't know. So if you're a historical buff and you know the answer to that thing, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.